One man, one mission, to rid the world of chronic anxiety once and for all. The Anxiety Guy, Dennis Simsek, shares his personal transformation from living a life filled with overwhelming worry to becoming a full-fledged positivity machine. A leading authority in generalized anxiety, Dennis gets to the truth of your mental health challenges and sets you on a path to transforming each and every area of your life. Here he is, the one and only, the Anxiety Guy.
Hi everyone, welcome to the Anxiety Guy podcast. I'm Dennis Simsek. I make these podcasts every Monday for people suffering from anxiety, from panic attacks, or just living a daily life of stress and looking to overcome their stress and their mental health challenges. So make sure to subscribe through iTunes to this podcast to get all the updates. As well, you guys can definitely check me out on Facebook or Twitter under The Anxiety Guy. And with that said, let's get to episode number 14. And episode number 14 is a very important one because there were times in my life during my anxiety disorder that I had lots of spaced out feelings, and with those spaced out feelings came a lot of confusion, came a lot of depersonalization, came a lot of derealization. It was almost like I was touching things and I was feeling things, but I wasn't really in the moment. I was almost in a constant state of checking in to see what my symptoms were doing, and it took some time to overcome that situation. And it was a very worrying situation because this spaced out feeling, this living in a bubble feeling really came out of nowhere. A lot of times I was having a great day and I was really joyful in the morning, but at lunchtime, it just came out of nowhere. And when it came out of nowhere, that feeling of being spaced out and dizzy and a little bit of off balance feeling there, it made me really confused. So of course, what would anybody do? They go to Dr. Google and we start to research these feelings. And of course, the worst possible scenarios always come up. And I want you guys to all refrain from doing that. And I want to give you a couple of really important suggestions and tips that I feel like are going to help you out there. But that confusion all sort of went away as soon as I realized what my naturopath was telling me. I decided one day that I wanted to visit a naturopath I never had before. And I said, you know what, it can't hurt. I've seen doctors, I've seen therapists, I've tried to overcome this by myself. Nothing's working. Let's go see a naturopath and see what she says. Right away, the naturopath took some saliva samples and she came up with the outcome that I had what's called Candida, Candida Albicans. And I said, what in the heck is that? What is Candida? And a lot of people suffering from anxiety don't really know what Candida is. But in fact, it could actually be the root of your anxiety. It could be the very thing, guys, that's causing your anxiety. And what it is actually a combination of more than 80 different poisonous toxins that are currently living in your body right now. And researchers are actually pointing fingers at this toxic waste as the main cause of anxiety. And nobody knows about it. And doctors don't know about it. They haven't researched it. And the only way that you can find out about Candida is if you actually see a naturopath. So I want to suggest that you go and see one as well. Aside from the Candida issue, they'll actually put you on a lot of different herbs and supplements that are directed towards what you really need, and the fastest way to overcome Candida. And for me, it took 3 months to get all those toxins out of my body through a certain diet that I really had to be particular about. Certain herbs and supplements that I had to be very stingy about and constantly take these supplements like being religious almost. But that was a huge breakthrough for me, guys, and I know it's going to be a breakthrough for you. And I want to actually come through with a couple of the symptoms that you might have that may be causing your Candida. And if you have 4 of these, the number is actually 4, guys. If you guys have 4 of these, then there's a good chance that you have what's called Candida albicans. So these symptoms are chronic fungal infections, foggy mind. So if you feel like you're kind of foggy and at haze and you can't really concentrate, depression or mood swings, food allergies, panic attacks, severe PMS, headaches, poor memory, muscle or joint pain, extreme cravings for sweets, bread, or alcohol, extreme fatigue, which I had for a number of years, and gastrointestinal problems like bloating, diarrhea, and constipation. So if you guys have more than 4 of those, there's a good chance, guys, that these toxic buildups in your body may be the cause of your anxiety, because a lot of times we feel like we're doing all the right things. You know, we're living life the way we should be living in its most natural state, with the exercising, the positivity, all these things. And it just seems like your body is constantly fighting something. It's almost like you're always up against it almost. And I'm speaking today to those people who are feeling like that, who always feel like they're in a haze, almost feel like they're living in a bubble. And there's a good chance, guys, that if you take care of the underlying issue, which may be Candida, after you visit your naturopath, you might start overcoming those spaced out feelings right away. And that is actually fantastic news for people who suffer from anxiety. And like I said before, you're not going to run into this kind of information on a regular basis from people who you talk to, certain professionals and so on. You really have to go see someone, a naturopath, that we really don't think about going to see when we have anxiety. So I really wanted to point that out today. As well, I wanted to give you a couple of other things when it comes to Candida. And we now know that a diet high in refined carbohydrates and sugar can cause Candida. But there's also great evidence that connects the growth of Candida to widespread use of antibiotics and hormones in the animals we eat. So that is really interesting as well. This allows both toxins and minute particles of incompletely digested foods to leak through the digestive tract into the bloodstream. Not only does this lead to problems of food sensitivity, but it places a heavy load on the immune system. Okay, so if you feel like your immune system is constantly down, you're always kind of doing different things to recharge your body, that's what we're talking about today. And this makes it even weaker in its fight against Candida albicans and other invaders. So guys, today's message is to be a little bit more open-minded. If you feel like, man, my back is always up against the wall, I feel like I'm doing all the right things, I'm saying the right things to people, I'm not acting a victim, I'm building good routines and rituals in my life that are going to keep me from checking into my symptoms and are going to keep me more conscious of my outside world. If you feel like you're doing all the right things and you're following this podcast and you're taking the advice and implementing the advice, guys, there's a good chance that this Candida thing might be what you're suffering from. But I want to point out that the amount of time that you've been struggling with anxiety, let's say that Candida is the cause of your anxiety, the amount of time that you've been struggling, I would say that you actually have to give it about half of the amount of time that you've been going through anxiety in order to overcome your Candida issue. So if you've been suffering for 6 months, let's say, of this feeling that you just can't shake off, then it's going to take 3 months to overcome it. If you've been struggling for a year, it's going to take 6 months to overcome Candida. And that, guys, that is with some seriously strict, disciplined daily action against Candida. And today, I was talking to somebody, and it made me really sad because this person on our Facebook page asked me, Dennis, does anxiety ever go away? And we tend to, when we look at our lives before anxiety, we tend to see it as this person who's so into their goals, into their dreams, persistent, taking action, doing all the right things, having that motivation daily, providing inspiration not only for themselves but for other people. And when we look at it, when we look at our lives now, when we have anxiety, for instance, your own life, it's almost like it's taken such control over your life, your health anxiety mainly, that we don't see the end. And we get to a point where we become so stale and just kind of wait day by day by day and check in minute by minute to see if things are getting better, when in fact we're not really doing the things we need to do in order to get better, guys. And that's what this podcast is about. This podcast is about not only providing you guys with some great advice, some suggestions from myself who's been there and overcome it, but it's also about you taking daily action. It's about you making a decision to say, you know what, I need to start implementing some of these things in my life. And I cannot get down on myself, because in the end, if you were to, let's take apart an example of your own life. If you're really successful in your career, let's say, were there setbacks in leading up to that top of the ladder in your career? Of course, there's been setbacks. Have you been trying to lose weight, and finally you've overcome this issue about losing weight? Have there been setbacks in that? Of course there has, guys. With anxiety, it's almost like setbacks are inevitable. It's gonna be there, and it's up to you to take a setback as a sign that anxiety is on its heels. When you see a setback, a lot of people tend to shy away and say, you know what, it's just not working. What I'm doing is just not working. But in fact, what I try to teach people through my coaching sessions is that setbacks are a sign. If I view this as a sign that I'm on the right track, and I just have to persevere, and I just have to keep doing the things I'm doing without checking in to see if they're working on a minute by minute, hourly basis, then in the end, the outcome is going to take care of itself. When we focus on the process, guys, the outcome takes care of itself. There should never be a time limit as far as you overcoming this anxiety. I understand what a struggle it is. I understand how crippling it can be. It's crippling, and people don't understand what living with health anxiety is like. It's a daily struggle. It's almost like you're pushing a boulder up a hill, and everything that seems easy to other people is very difficult for you to accomplish, and people may be asking you today, you know what, Dennis, in your own life, are you okay, or are things okay in your life, and all you have to say to them, is that, yes, I'm progressing nicely, yes, things are working its way out. What you choose, the words you express to people, guys, are very powerful. So make sure you keep that in mind. But the biggest thing I want you guys to take out of this episode, number 14 of the Anxiety Guy podcast, is that setbacks are inevitable. See if Candida might be the cause of your anxiety. Get rid of those toxins in your body starting as soon as possible, guys. If you have any more questions about it, the Candida is something that I enjoy talking about and love sharing my own experiences with people on it. So under www.anxietyexit.com, shoot me a message. Go on Facebook under The Anxiety Guy and shoot me a message. Tell me that you've seen this episode. Tell me you've downloaded this episode, and if you have any other lingering questions, let me know about it, because I like to keep these podcasts quite short and really get directed towards something. And that's something today, guys, is that become open-minded, research a little bit more about what Candida albicans is, and could it be the cause of your anxiety. I look forward, guys, to seeing you in episode number 15. Make sure to download this episode so you listen to it a few times as well. Subscribe to the Anxiety Guy podcast. Subscribe to YouTube under the Anxiety Guy, because this exact episode, along with all the other podcasts, are all going to be a video version on YouTube. So if you're more of a video lover, YouTube is for you. And I look forward to seeing you guys in episode number 15. Take care. Have a wonderful day, guys. Signing off, me and Buddha right next to me. Take care, everyone.